Hello everyone, Bashar here. So the new season is coming and now I wanted to try the classes that I haven't, so I went for a monk, right? And this is the first melee character I played in Path of Exile 2, and I quite like the experience. I want to go over it for you. So this is the build from Max Rolls Invoker leveling guide converted into a Max Rolls Invoker endgame guide, right? This is kind of it. So there is already a written version for this. So I want to just do a video and offer my thoughts. So how good is it? It's pretty good, right? In the leveling, there is high 20s, low 30s. There is a bit of you kind of get staggered, right? It gets a little bit hard, but then it again goes a breeze. You have to spend a few exalteds. That's it for the leveling. It's pretty nice, and when you have good enough gear, it's just almost a one button build, right? You just do ice strike, ice strike, ice strike, and there is some other stuff that you can do, but that's about it. You just have to refresh charge staff, which you will get into, right? You can use the hand of Chayula to teleport the monster packs, and if you are facing bosses, you can do the bell. But if you are good enough gear, you don't have to do the bell at all, except for the bosses, right? You can handle the rares with just ice strike. Why am I making this guide? First of all, guys, it's a different character, and second of all, it's a good season starter. Why? Because it doesn't require any spirit from gear, right? Because there is an ascendancy passive called Lead Me Through Grace, and that allows our chest armor, body armor, to give us one spirit for every 6 energy shield on it, and one spirit for every 15 evasion on it, but prevents us from gaining spirits from gear. But the thing is, guys, as you know, through the campaign, when we progress, we get 30, 30, and 40, a total of 100 spirit. And if we get a good enough chest, then we have no need of spirit at all. That's nice, right? You don't have to look for spirit in the amulet, you don't have to look for spirit in the helmet, you don't have to look for spirit in the chest, just or any other slots. You just equip a chest and that's it. And as you can see, it's not very limiting, right? I mean, we need a total of 135 extra spirit, total of 235, and some of these are optional, right? Precision, vitality, that kind of stuff can be dropped. And as you can see, guys, this is not a very, very good one, right? We want a evasion energy shield hybrid. That's what we want for all of our armor. We want energy shield evasion hybrids, and around this level is fine. You can go a little bit lower. I think you can go as low as a little above 1000 evasion and around 385 energy shield. That is enough for everything. But if you find something that's a little bit lower, that's also fine, because you can just let go of a few support gems. That's it, right? It's pretty nice. And so, guys, imagine starting a season and having no need of spirit, because it's a problem, right? You want to get the resist, you want to get the life, energy, etc. And when you ask for spirit on top, it becomes too expensive, or it just doesn't exist, or it goes way over your budget, especially in the early season. So that's a pretty good start, right? And as you can see, the character is very quick on his feet. That's also very nice, right? Goes through campaign rather fast. So what do we use? We want to use a quarterstaff with high physical damage and increase element damage with attacks. Why? Because Ice Strike, our main damaging skill, converts 80% of the physical damage that we do with it into cold. So we want high physical damage, so we can convert it to more cold, right? And increase element damage, obviously, right? 80% of our physical damage is converted into cold, so increase element damage helps. So this kind of weapon is nice. Any added stat is fine. You could also get attack speed on it. This high damage and attack speed is of course pretty expensive. So this is about low divines. That's it. For the helmet we go for, as I said, energy shield evasion hybrid. We want resistances, stats, and high amount of life on top of energy shield and evasion. Armor is the same, right? I was very lucky there to find one with 18 chaos resistance corruption. That sorted my chaos resistance. High evasion, high energy shield, resistances. Yeah, that's about it. For the amulet, we want increased percentage energy shield, life. Percentage life is just an added bonus that was lucky for me. And as much as we can get off, again, attributes and resistances. Of course, you have to do a little bit of maths there if the resistances are capped. The rings, one of them has to be pulsar cannon, right? It's not a must, but it's very useful. Increased cold damage is pretty good. We do a lot of cold damage. And keep in mind, with cold quality, it can go up to 36%. And it can be corrupted into higher, but higher corrupted versions are really expensive. So there's that. What pulsar cannon helps us with is we do a lot of cold damage, and sometimes we are not able to freeze, right? Because we are not getting past the enemy's freeze threshold. But thing is, pulsar cannon allows us to shatter enemies as if they were frozen. So that's pretty nice, right? Even if we don't have enough cold damage, we can shatter them. I just got a chaos ring here with a lot of added flat damage and stats. As I said, these have to be adjusted accordingly for your stats. And belt is as usual an ingenuity, because this season end, guys, I bought a cheap ingenuity, so you have to calculate the resistances here, right? Gloves will be handoff, wisdom, and action. I was able to find this one for cheap. I mean, it doesn't have 1 to 12 lightning damage, you can corrupt it to have that one, and they become pretty expensive. But I have +1 melee skills, that's of course some added damage. And finally, we have some boots again in an energy shield evasion hybrid with 30 or 35% movement speed and stats and resistances. As you can see, I have exercise economy. I have a decent amount of resistance, but the third suffix I have is wasted. The life is not very good, right? These are, of course, let me go over prices here. Low divine, low divine, low divine, low divine. A few divines, right? These are like 1 or 2 divines. This is like 2 or 3. These are probably not even divines. They are high exalteds, and the flasks, just the usual stuff. I have a stun charm. As for the skills, guys, we have Ice Strike, and as you can see, I as a cheap ass, and I didn't get the 6 socket. Glacial something is the one that you can use. If your Ice Strike level is very high, you can consider Inspiration. We have the Bell. So for the Ice Strike Primal Armament, Martial Tempo, Ice Bite Crescendo. For Tempest Bell, we have Glaciation, Rage, Overabundance, Heavy Swing. We have the Charge Staff. That is the only thing that we have to do other than Ice Strike, but you only do it once every few, like 30-40 seconds or so, because it is a 50-second duration. Persistence, Main, Perpetual Charge. Hand of Chayula, Blind, and Sniper's Mark. Hand of Chayula is used for teleporting, but the Ice Strike will also have a small blink. Hand of Chayula's is a little bit further, but you can just map without Hand of Chayula at all. We have Herald of Ice. It's beautiful, as you know. Culling Strike, Magnified Effect, Ambush, and Cold Mastery. We have Combat Frenzy. That gives us, that is what makes the build come online, because we need power charges and we need to consume them, blah blah. And so how does this work? Because it's going to give us frenzy charges. So there is a keystone passive that allows us to gain power charges instead of frenzy charges. So that hooks us up with the power charges. Additional charge, yeah. Profusion Precision. We have Wind Dancer for additional evasion. vitality, clarity, cannibalism. So these take a little spirit away, and if you don't have enough spirit from your chest armor, you can just discard a few. We have Ghost Dance with fast forward, and finally we have Charge Infusion. So these all are important. So if you do not have enough spirit, you can just drop precision first, then you can probably drop vitality, and you should have enough then, because this is already not very demanding. As for the passive tree, there is this. Let me show you. You start off with Unbound Avatar here instead of the Sunder My Enemies, because you just won't have enough crit rate at the beginning. This is a nice other damaging skill, and when your crit rate reaches around 40%, that will mean in fight it will go above 50% thanks to Charge Infusion. Then you can drop it and grab this one. This is very nice, right? Extremely good. It penalizes our evasion rating but allows our evasion rating to grant us physical damage reduction. Take a look at this. It's beautiful, right? I have 77% evasion and 73% physical damage reduction, right? All my resistances are capped. I have over 2k life and shield, so character becomes somewhat tanky. So the approach we take is this. This is the final tree. We have only a little jewel slots. All of the attribute points should go towards intelligence if you can. I mean, if you cannot equip your gems, if you cannot equip your skills, you can of course pick dexterity and strength as needed, but we want intelligence as much as we can because of Hand of Wisdom and action. It gives us a lot of damage. It also helps us with the mana. As for power charge related passives, you only take this one, this tree, because it gives us 2 charges. That helps us. There is this one and this one, but they only give +1 each, and they are not worth the 4 or 5 passives that we spend on them. What else? So this is the thing that allows us to gain power charges, right? The combat proficiency thingy, combat frenzy thingy gives us frenzy charges, and thanks to resonance it gives us power charges. And that's the thing I was talking about when I said there is a bit of staggering when leveling, because guys, at some point high 20s, low 30s, you will have to go for these nodes, right? And then this one, but you wouldn't have access to charge staff because charge staff requires level 31, it's a level 14 skill. So at that point you hesitate a little bit, but after you gain this and have access to power charges, then it will go smoothly. So high 20s, low 30s, there will be a bit of staggering. We grab all of these crit related nodes. One thing that's important is we want 1 red jewel with gain 1 range or melee hit. So guys, there is something weird. Gain 2 range on hit or something like that. There is something like that, and it somehow doesn't work, right? You want this one, gain 1 range or melee hit, right? Don't try to get anything else. And of course we want area of effect, element damage, because you can only have so many useful modifiers in Ruby, right? That's the problem. For the rest, you should be going for sapphires like this, crit chance, area of effect, crit damage, cold damage, any combination, because it's the end of season. I went very budget with these again. They are costing like high exalteds or a divine at most. We don't have too many nodes there. As you can see, I have full intelligence in my skill tree because this part provides us with the dexterity. So I'm level 90 right now. If you were to gain a few more levels, what you can do is go for this jewel socket, right? And maybe this passive, right? Something like that. And let me show you how the build works right now. Let me grab a so this is budget, right? I don't want to go high delirium maps. So as it is, guys, I have tried a little. I can handle like 40% or so delirium. That's it. Right? any higher and it will go ugly. So I'll just put in a tier 15 map. Okay, see. So blink with Chayula, kill them. We gain power charges, immediately do the charge staff, right? That's very important, and you can see it has a pretty big visual effect. Okay, as you can see, now I'm not even using Chayula at all. And because we have so much intelligence, guys, our mana pool is big and we can make it without potions. As you can see, I'm not flasking up. And of course, so guys, hands off, right? Just doing the... but because I went budget, guys, I do not have rarity. So that's one problem. You could, of course, have rarity. You might have seen I had like 1 or maybe 1.5 bad stats on my gear. And of course, those could be exchanged with rarity. But of course, that would affect the price of the item. I just have characters that can do everything better. So I didn't invest too hard. But as I said, the character is very quick on his feet. So campaign is rather good. And in the end game, you can have a fast start. Sorry. Alright. Okay, see, I forgot and the charge staff expired. That's a mistake that you shouldn't be making. Yeah, just get it to 5 charges and refresh every once and then. As you can see, guys, no bell, right? That's also, I think, pretty convenient. Just one button. Wow, what's going on? Why are these guys not dying? Why is this ritual not ending? The what? Yeah, sometimes ritual is like this. Okay. And does the build die? Yes. Yes. I die every once and then. But of course, you could also go for somewhat tankier, more energy shield and whatnot. But right now, overall, we are fine-ish, right? That's hard. Interesting. Okay. And the good old classic, nothing from the ritual. Let's just finish the map. Against the bosses, of course, it's just better to use the bell, right? You go in, you start whacking, right? Then you have enough bell charges, you just do the bell. The bell, let me just show you. The bell charges degenerate very, very rapidly. So you cannot hope for, entering a boss fight with bell charges. In like 3 seconds or so, the combo strikes that you have built up will disappear. So, see, 3, 0. I have 3 charges now. 1, 2, 3. See, about 3-4 seconds maybe. They disappear really quick. So let's just finish this map. Here is pretty nice, as you can see. Okay, how do I do that? I mean, long live Herald of Ice. But the patch will nerf Herald of Ice. It will not be able to go off of itself. But still, I forgot the thing again. Okay, I'm talking too much. So guys, you should not allow this one to expire. It's important. It gives us a really nice damage boost. We don't want it to expire. And if you have power charges, you can just refresh it every once and then it will go to full duration or something there like that. Okay. And map is done. As you can see, this is rather fast. And of course, you can equip an offhand weapon and in the secondary weapon set, and put blink there. But the one problem is that the skill thingies are full here. That is one problem. Maybe use an onset ring. So why am I suggesting this build, guys? First of all, fast movement speed. Campaign goes fast. And in the campaign, guys, just use Pillar of the Cage Guard and never change it, right? That's a very nice thing because, it scales. Where is it? Quarter staff. No, it's a staff, right? Quarter staff is different. There we are. Yeah. So, guys, just get a Pillar of the Cage Guard like mine, 3 sockets for corruption, and put 3 glacial runes in, tons of cold damage, right? You can use, as I said, guys, I did the full campaign with that one. Never changed. And don't rush through the campaign too much. I did, right? I finished the campaign at level 60, and at the end, it was rather frustrating because survivability struggles quite a bit. And because I was low level when I transitioned to the maps, I was dying kind of all the time. 60 to 65 was painful. After 65, I was able to wear the 3rd best armor, so I did trade a little bit, and that it was a little bit better. Now I'm gonna say I die once every like 20 maps maybe, and maybe half of that is my fault. So yeah, that's about it. It's pretty survivable, right? Because, guys, take a look at this. We have 77% evasion, 73% armor, max resistances except chaos, right? And chaos is pretty good as well. And finally, we have a lot of life and shield, so you can get to it. So the reason I suggest this is it goes through the campaign rather fast. It is somewhat struggling at some point, but then recovers. In the end, you will not be very survivable, but I did something I think wrong, guys. What I did was I started leveling with, I think I took it off. Yeah, the movement speed thingy. Yeah, the level 1 chest that gives you movement speed and increased evasion. Quick shade, something like that. I started leveling with that, guys, and I did something very spoiled, and I never changed it, right? Imagine on level 60, you are wearing a level 1 armor. I should have changed it somewhere along 40s or so, I guess. That would have made my experience better. And as I said, I rushed too much, right? I finished the campaign at level 60, so there is no need for that. Around 63 to 65 is definitely better. And the good thing is, as I said, you can just transition directly, right? You can keep the same gems, you can keep the most of your passive tree intact. So you are going to get rid of this tree, you are going to get rid of this tree, you will change a little bit, and according to what you get on your gear, you can change all of your passives into intelligence. When you are leveling, if you are using Pillar of the Cage Guard like I suggested, you should be putting everything into strength that you can, because strength gives you weapon damage, and that's pretty useful. For rings, you should be going for rings, and for gloves, you should be going for stuff with flat damage, because Pillar of the Cage Guard's base damage is low, and you add to that damage with the rings and gloves I mentioned. So it's a nice build altogether. As I said, the transition from campaign into maps is very smooth. It's a fast character, so you can get through the campaign relatively fast. You don't need anything expensive at all, right? And let's say you start the new season with this, right? A little bit of trading will set you straight, right? I mean, nice energy shield, evasion hybrid chest is going to solve all of your spirit problems. This one is not extremely necessary, right? I mean, campaigns, season start, you can just have some glove with flat damage added on it, and then you can switch to this, right? Pulsar cannon is very cheap, right? I guess You will be able to get it on day one, even if you start fast, right? A few exalted should do the trick. I'm guessing ingenuity is a problem, but you can just start with the rare belt and then grab the ingenuity later on. The staves are not very expensive either. You can of course go with a worse version, and my eye strike damage tooltip is right now 100k. During the fight it goes up to like 250k. There are a lot of procs that add to the damage, but on 60k or something I was still exporting everything in tier 15 maps, right? The boss damage, I mean the difference is in the boss damage, right? You can handle tier 15 maps, that's not a problem. The bosses are different. And so guys, you might have noticed that I have a 35 spirit extra. So why, right? So the answer is, guys, I have 5 extra, so let's disregard the 5, but I have 30 extra, right? Well, what do we do with that 30 extra? With that 30 extra, that's for pinnacle bosses only, right? And you take away the herald or the charge infusion, and you put in cast on shock, right? Cast on shock with Eye of Winter in for pinnacle bosses, because these don't really do too much against pinnacle bosses. We want some additional damage because it's not going to be enough otherwise. So that's what the 30 extra spirit is for. So guys, in the early season, cast on shock will not be required on day one, so you can go for a chest that actually has much lower evasion and energy shield. But the thing is, it also of course plays for our survivability, right? Our physical damage reduction comes from our evasion. Our ghost dance will recover energy shield based on our evasion. So the best armor that you can get is fine. So that means, guys, give additional priority to your body armor, right? So if you have a limited amount of resource, right, dedicate a little bit of resource to everything else, but dedicate a rather big amount to your body armor, because it's going to give us the spirit that we need. And also we will have this passive. Is it this one? It is this one. So additional evasion from body armor. So it will give a lot of physical damage reduction and evasion, and also a lot of spirit to us. So for example, guys, if you have 1 divine and 1 exalted, 1 exalted for everything else and 1 divine for the chest, right? That's what I mean. Of course, in the early days, a divine will not even be worth 1 exalted. Maybe a bad example, let me say 1 divine and 10 exalted, something like that, 15 exalted. You know what I mean, right? Majority of the thingy. So the problem with this build is, guys, you have to spend a little more than I did in order to, have a good season start. Why? You breeze through the campaign, you arrive at this point. How are you going to get your loot, right? I have no rated at all, right? And of course, guys, take a look at this. 1 wasted stat there, reduce attribute. The 14 dexterity is, I guess, arguable, right? In here we have, we have nothing bad in here. 14 strength maybe. In this one we have 8 rarity, that could be higher. In here we have the 30% reduced attribute requirements. What I mean is, guys, these items could have rarity instead, right? Because you want a little bit of rarity when you can. I mean, if your seasonal main that you start on day 1 has no rarity, it will be a slow start. So you have to find a sweet spot between going through the campaign and being able to equip rarity at the same time. So for example, maybe go for a character that goes through the campaign a little bit slower, but can equip a lot of rarity. Because thing is, let's say you finish the campaign 1 day earlier, but the guy has 150 rarity and you have like 20, he will catch up, right? Currency wise, because he will be getting more. So there is that. But I'm not saying this character cannot have rarity. It can, but the items will be somewhat more expensive, right? So for this chest, you will have to grab maybe a little bit lower evasion, a little bit lower energy shield, but rarity on this ring, rarity instead of the dexterity, and so on, right? What do we need for stats? Let me see. I think 205. Well, as you can see, these require only 112 dexterity and 112 intelligence. There was something that required pure, yeah. So combat frenzy and Wind Dancer require 205 dexterity at their max level. The amount of strength that we require is not too much, maybe like 35 or so. We will be getting those from the gear that we equip mostly, and if you don't, you can just, as I said, invest, and everything else should go into intelligence because we scale from it thanks to Hand of Wisdom and Action. And thing is, guys, if this is a new seasonal character, you will probably be wanting your to get your hands on a 1 to 12 lightning damage. That would mean 20% more efficiency for intelligence, right? It's gonna give you 1 damage more on average for every 10 intelligence. So intelligence will be even more valuable. So as much as you want into intelligence, right? I mean, 35-ish strength, 205 dexterity, or 191 dexterity if you don't want to go to the max level, because you know max level spirit gems are extremely expensive, especially at the beginning of the season. And so 205 or 191 dexterity, and as much as you can into intelligence. So that's about it, guys, and I think it's a nice season starter. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. I shall try to answer to the best of my ability, and see you in the next video.